Okay, hi everyone. I want to talk a little bit tonight about how to get started and just my approach when I'm doing here. So, the way I'm approaching it is first off, you got to start off with some inspiration. Inspiration is key. It comes everywhere, it comes from watching movies, searching for images on the internet, and I'm just going to show you a couple things I came across that kind of like got my juices flowing. So, this one I was just searching on my phone and like this one right here, this came off the TV. I was like just sitting on the couch one day, and screensaver was scrolling through photos, and I really liked the way that like the branches were kind of like engulfing the building, and the building has some like really cool carvings into it. So yeah, I really like that photo. If you have access to like AI generated images, it's so great for concepting. Really good for concepting. So here's just a couple from just searching. I like the God rays in this one. That's kind of cool. This one has some like really cool pillars, and I definitely want to do like some like great sculpting in this world. And these pillars just are so awesome to me. I just love them. So I want to do like some really cool sculpting. Yeah, and this one's like just like a snake temple. So just find some inspiration and a direction that you want to go, because having a direction is key to starting. Uh, we have so many ideas in our head, especially when we're doing our own personal projects. It's difficult to get started, right? Getting those ideas out of your head, it's easy if someone just like hands you like a deck and was like, okay, yeah, here, build this. It's like, okay, perfect. But when you're doing your own projects, you have like all these grand ideas and you just want to get them out. Another thing too that really helps is just go inside of Horizon Worlds and just start gray boxing. Just start dropping some shapes down. What it's going to do, it's going to help you get an idea of the size of the world or the section you want to build, and it's also going to like show you what you like and what you don't like. For example, I tried it both ways. I built some stairs going up and some stairs going down, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, I don't like the stairs going down, so I want to kind of like ascend up the stairs onto this platform, kind of like in this photo, right? I wouldn't have been able to like experience that if I didn't like throw it down inside of Horizon. So, gray boxing, definitely recommend it. Also, it lets you sit in the world and kind of like just ponder on ideas, and ideas spawn off of ideas that spawn off of ideas. And like what I mean by that is like you have an idea, right? And then it's all of a sudden you're like, oh, but this would be even better, or maybe this would be the direction to go. And that would never happen if you weren't gray boxing, right? So it just allows you to throw yourself in the world a little bit better. So inspiration, do some gray boxing. So that's what I did. That's how I got started. And then I jumped inside of ZBrush and I started modeling some of the pieces that kind of like made me have fun. I feel like the last 10% of our builds, like or art or whatever we do, is always the hardest, because I feel like maybe it's just me, but I always feel like I save like the hardest for last, or the least fun for like the last 10%. And that's why like a lot of projects like kind of just like start to drag, and you kind of lose that spark that you originally had in the beginning. But so yeah, so I started with some of the booby traps. I started with some of the characters that I designed, and I'm gonna show you. Here, let me close this. So this is what I was working on today. I had this character I created, and I got to get him inside of a VR game. He's way too many polygons. And I tried this technique about a couple months ago. I did it with this spider here. Let me pull this spider up. So I have this spider, and this spider is 4,000 polygons, and that's pretty good because he's not decimated yet. And let me just turn off his texture. Texture off. Turn off smoothing. Okay, so as you can see, like he's pretty low poly, and this is before decimating him. After I decimate him, he'll be even lower. So he'll probably be sitting around maybe 2,000 polygons, which is for like the whole creature, the whole character. So I'm really happy with that. I think that's really good. It's so what I did for him is I basically did some matte cap baking, and I baked light into him, and I custom painted him, and I took all that high res detail that I sculpted into him when he was 21 million polygons, right? I took all that detail and I turned it into the texture, and that's kind of what I have here. It's kind of tough to see, but this is the texture, and it's like I said, it's got like all that information baked into it, and I think it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna try some new techniques. There's a couple things I want to try. I've been looking at like relief paintings and how they can kind of like trick your eye into pushing and pulling. Basically, I'm cheating. I'm trying to cheat normal maps, depth maps, height maps. I'm trying to cheat all that. I'm trying to bake it all into one texture. So that's the goal. That's the goal, right? So I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. Like these little spikes on his arm, those look really good. Obviously, if you like start to turn around it, you notice that those spikes don't bump up, but they look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so how do you take something that's a couple million polygons and get it into this, right? And I'm gonna keep this video short as far as like sculpting goes today. I just kind of want this one to be like an intro of like how I'm starting my project, what I'm doing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is the skull, and I have the skull, and the skull is 2 million polygons, right? So this is the high res one. This is like it's roughly just over 2 million. And how do I take this lump of clay and actually turn it into something I can use? Well, the first step is you have to retopologize it. You have to have topology that will be good enough to create UVs on and then a texture, right? So my first step was to duplicate it, and then I basically do a retopology until I get something that looks like this. So this is my starting point. This is my base, right? This is like that spider at that sitting at, okay, this skull is sitting at 2,000 polygons. If I was to decimate this right now, it'd probably be around 1. I wouldn't go lower than that because I think I would start to lose like these little indentations and the lighting inside of my VR program. I really want that lighting to kind of interact with the model more. So I don't want to like go too far down and smooth it out too much. But yeah, this is pretty good. This is a great starting point. I do wish I had like the center line going down here, but it's okay because when I UV'd it, it's still readable. So let me show you the UVs. So let me just duplicate this, and then I'm going to delete my higher, and then make sure I'm on it. I am. Okay, let me just flatten it just so I can show you the UVs. So these are readable UVs. Hopefully you can tell what you're looking at. Here's the eye socket, here's the other eye socket, the nose, the cheek, the back of the cranium's right here. This is his jaw, mandible. So it's readable, right? Like I can tell what I'm looking at when I look at these UVs, and that's really going to help me when I go to texture it as well. So like for example, if I was to write, my name on his forehead right here, it would show up. You'd be able to read it. Okay, so those are readable UVs. So unflatten. I'm going to delete that one because we don't need it. Okay, so how do I get my high res? And again, I'm going to show all this down the road more. This is just like how I got started, and I basically just like I said, I'm just like sculpting like a maniac. I'm having fun with the project. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, right? I'm getting that inspiration, and it's a lot of fun. This is what I like. Okay, with that said, we have this really high res 2 million. How do we get here? So we do something called a projection. So here's my starting point. I turn this on, which is my high res model, and I'm basically going to project the high res detail onto my new geometry. And then I'm going to take my new geometry and I'm going to start to subdivide it up. And as I subdivide up, I'm basically going to keep projecting until I get something that looks very close. I mean, it's pretty close. I might have to touch it up a little bit there, but it's pretty close to the original. Now that I have this is where the real fun begins, because now I have all my like baked detail, which I'm going to use to create the texture. And the way to go about creating texture, I'm going to do a lot of like matte cap baking. I'm going to try something new with this one to kind of like really nail it down, and see if I can really fake that depth of field, and kind of really trick the eye. But basically, you have your good geometry, you have good UVs, and now I'm going to use all this high res detail to create my texture maps. Now I'm going to do this for the rest of the character. I'm going to try to finish it up either tomorrow or the next day, and then I should have that character done. And then once I have him done, he's going to be my star piece, my hero piece in the opener. So once I have him done, I'll start like building the world around him, and that will kind of be how I start the very like beginning, the top level of how my game starts. And I think that's going to be my approach. So, okay, I'm going to cut it short now. I'm just over 10 minutes. If you have questions, please let me know, and stay tuned for more. Thanks, everyone.